Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gauravakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gauravakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gauravakta Vrinda Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanachhalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Supadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Saganalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते प्रणमामि पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामे नमस्ते सारस्वते देव गौरवाणी कम करोति वाचालं पवते श्री गुरुं दीनतारिणं परमात्मनं माधवं श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरं हरे कृष्ण। Thank you all for joining. We are discussing for our purification the wonderful pastimes of Lord Shri Gaurahari, most beautiful transcendental Lord of Golok Vrindavan, who in order to extend his compassion to the fallen people of Kali Yuga, the ecstasy of his love, he is so eager to share the experience of that love. Both taste the experience of that love and share that experience of the love with others, that he has made what is normally very, very difficult to attain. He has made it very, very easy to attain. Listening to these divine pastimes and being attracted to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually very, very great good fortune. Those who are faithfully connected to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers, for them, the path of pure Krishna Prem, which is the topmost conclusion of all scriptures, the highest possible attainable goal for the living entities like us, comes very easily. Because the Lord's purpose itself was to give this prema very freely. So if we are, doesn't matter whether we are qualified or not qualified, if in a very humble spirit of mind, we are willing to go in front of the Panchatattva and their associates and followers and beg for this Krishna prema. Doesn't matter how sinful we are, doesn't matter how fallen we are. If we are humble and we beg sincerely, without pretense, it's very important. Important to be sincere. What does sincere mean? Sincere means we really want this kind of a prema. We want to experience, we want to taste the nectar of pure love. Because eventually, after many, many births, we have eventually come to the conclusion that it is this prema and this prema alone which can actually fully satisfy the parched heart of the conditioned souls. Our heart is parched. Parched means, when the land is dry, it's not watered for a long time, dries in such a way it starts cracking. It's very dry. It's like it's asking, give me water, give me water, give me water. Our hearts have become like that. Why? Because the heart is satisfied only with pure love. And pure love is generally not experienced in this material world. It is experience in connection with the Supreme Personality of God, because that is our eternal nature, Sanatana Dharma. Jivera Swarup Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. Krishnasya Tatastha Shakti Veda Veda Pala. Our eternal nature is to be a servant of Krishna. With that service, we find our ultimate satisfaction and perfection. Anyway, so we are very fortunate. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given all of us this opportunity to discuss these beautiful pastimes and become attracted to him, and that is opening for us the doorway to our greatest good fortune. So we are discussing the 14th chapter of Adi Leela, which is based on the childhood pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. In the last class, we were able to cover only around 37 verses. The chapter has, I think, 97 verses, if I'm not wrong, around there. So we covered only around 37. The last 20 minutes of the previous class was dedicated to one verse, which is verse 37. So with your permission, we decided that some pastimes we can discuss in a bit more detail, because there are some very sweet details about these pastimes, which are covered from in Chaitanya Bhagavad. So again, with your permission, I'm going to take a similar line of approach. We're going to be discussing some of these pastimes in a slightly more detail, so that we can relish the scene. We want our hearts to be attracted by these divine pastimes. And we are not listening to this pastime just to be entertained. Just to be entertained with something novel, you can go and see and hear so many things. But our real good fortune comes about when the heart, which is continuously seeking happiness and attraction in material mundane subject matter, when it starts becoming attracted to Hari through Hari Katha, Hari Kirtan, Hari Lila, Hari Gun, to the discussion of the name, form, Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila, then the living entity starts turning away from Maya and looking towards Krishna, which is the beginning of our good fortune. Now we are running full speed in the wrong direction, in the direction of Maya. Krishna is backside. Krishna are not even looking at Krishna, but somehow when we hear these pastimes, looking means in our heart is oriented towards Maya. But when we hear these beautiful pastimes, then as we are running, we think, it sounds so nice. Maybe I should just turn back and see what is what is in the other direction. Am I actually running in the right direction? Maybe I should turn around and just check out. Sometimes it happens, right, when we are going on a particular path and then we just wonder, am I on the right track? Am I in the right direction? Maybe should I have chosen that road instead? So in that way, slowly, even though we are running in this direction, we may occasionally look back. And when we are attracted enough, we may stop, turn around and really think very carefully what we want to do for the rest of our life. And if we really, really become fortunate, we will reverse and start walking towards Krishna rather than walking towards me. So all these beautiful pastimes are meant to attract our heart. So we hope and pray that through the grace of Lord Gaur Hari, with the grace of the great souls, Sridas Kaviraj Goswami and all the Acharyas. By the way, today is also the appearance day of Jagannath Radhanath Maharaj by English calendar calculations. It is 7th of December. So we are seeking the blessings of all the great souls, the Prabhupada, all the Acharyas, the current spiritual masters. That if our hearts get attracted towards Lord Sri Hari in some form or the other, that actually becomes the beginning of our great process. So in that spirit, let us hear these pastimes. So if after hearing all these pastimes, you feel that your connection to Lord Chaitanya, your attraction for Lord Chaitanya has increased a little bit, even a little bit, then the class is a success. This attraction is very, very, very valuable. Thing is, this kind of attraction cannot be purchased anywhere in the market. It cannot be purchased by any amount of punya. Janma koti sukruti rapina labhyate, Rupa Goswami says. Koti janmon ke punya se bhi nahi milta. Cannot purchase it with punya of 1 crore lifetimes. Tatra laulyam ekalam mulyam. The price for Krishna consciousness is the intense eagerness to have it. I want to taste this. I want to experience that love for Krishna. It's that laulya. Laulya means greed. And normally we think that greed is bad. Yes, greed is bad when it is applied to mundane things. When it is applied to money, bank balance, latest cars, latest phone, big house, whatever else. If we have laulya for that, it is distracting us from the goal of life. But when we have laulya greed to hear more about Krishna because our heart is so attracted, we have laulya for serving Krishna more, for chanting Krishna's names more, for visiting the holy places. Whenever greed increases like this, of course, in the beginning it is not greed, because greed is the intense stage. A greedy man never loses any opportunity. Maybe some of you are already there, I do not know. But some of us may be in a very new stage where we are not greedy, but little attraction is there. But if we continue to feed this little attraction with more and more harikatha, eventually it will turn into greed. Because Krishna is so attractive. When the more and more we hear, Shrinatam Sakata Krishna Punya Shramana Kirtana Vidantasto Hibadrani Vidunoti Sudasata. He will remove all the contaminations from the heart, and as the contaminations go, the heart becomes more clean. The iron of the heart becomes attracted to the magnet, who's Krishna, more and more and more. As the rust is removed, the rust of Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, is more attractive naturally. That's why the more we hear properly, if we hear properly with the right attitude, the more our heart will become. So this is the science. That's why we are praying that is the greatest blessing. The greatest blessing is not that after hearing we get some material benefit. We don't want to use the medicine to increase the fever. We want the medicine to decrease the fever. Some people think that when we practice religion or spiritual life nicely, our material life should improve. So that's like, we take medicine and the fever increases. Of course, there's nothing wrong in itself in doing better materially. That's not the point. The point is, if we are more excited about that and that is the goal of our practice, then that means our fever is simply increased. Anyway, so that's just a perspective for us. So I thought I'll just quickly reorient ourselves so we understand what is it that we are doing. So we are discussing the 14th chapter and we are continuing the discussion, and Krishna willing, Lord Chaitanya willing, we will complete the chapter today. So as we started discussing in the last time, Lord Chaitanya is now just about, still a child, it's very small, very young boy. He's just about standing up now and walking. Huh? In the last class, we discussed about how this Brahmana who was worshipping Gopal deity came to the house of Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata, and how that very beautiful pastime happened of how he was cooking Naivedya and offering the Naivedya to the Lord, and the Lord, little Gaur Hari was coming and grabbing and eating it every time. This Brahmana was shocked. Again and again this would happen, and finally the Lord revealed to him that you are offering to me only, you are calling Gopal, I am Gopal. And the devotee was so very happy. He was a very, very great devotee. He had actually visited the house of Nanda and Yashoda in his previous lifetime and had a very similar experience of the darshan of Krishna. Lord Chaitanya blessed him that very soon he will attain the supreme destination of Golokha. So that was very, very sweet process. Another very interesting pastime, continuing our discussion of chapter 14. It said one day Lord Chaitanya, the Lord, like any small boys, but of course Krishna is the supreme small boy, he would love to play. Once he was just wandering around, playing in his courtyard in front of his home, and the Lord would be so beautifully decorated with jewels. One day he was wearing a lot of beautiful jewels, real jewels, gold and jewels. So there were two thieves outside his home. They saw this boy. Oh, this boy seems to be wandering around alone here, and he seems to be decorated with so many jewels. So let us make a plan. So they made a plan to steal the jewels. So they didn't want to just go there and grab the jewels. The child would cry and it would attract the attention of the others. So they made a plan. So they came to the child and they said, and they brought some mithai. Oh, you want? They tried to entice him. Said, yeah, I want. Gaur Hari said, yes. Come and sit. They picked him up and they put the Lord on their shoulders, and they gave him some sweets and they said, come, we'll take you for a ride. And slowly they started walking away from the home. So they were essentially trying to kidnap him, take him into a isolated place so that they can rob him. That was their plan. So they put the Lord on the shoulder, they gave him some sweets, and they started gently walking away from there, making sure nobody notices. And true enough, actually nobody noticed. They started walking away, and Lord Chaitanya was sitting on their shoulders. I don't know how many of you have done this, but I used to love if somebody would carry me on their shoulders and walk me around. It's actually great fun for children. Just even being carried by an elderly person, being at such a high vantage point is so much fun. Lord Chaitanya sitting on the shoulders was having great fun. And he was eating the sweetmeats. So he was not complaining. He was cooperating with whatever the thieves were saying. The thieves were saying, oh, this is a wonderful catch. This is such a cooperative boy. They went further, looking for their isolated place. And the Lord was enjoying the drive, so to say, drive. And they went on and on. And the amazing thing was they were trying to find a isolated place to rob him. But by the Lord's Yogmaya potency, these two thieves were so bewildered that they went around. And finally they took a whole circle and came back in front of the house of Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata. Exactly where they had picked up the Lord from. And all throughout the time, the Lord was enjoying eating some nice sweets and enjoying the tour on the shoulders. And meanwhile, when the Lord was going around, the family members noticed that where is Nimai? Where is Nimai? They were searching and everybody was looking here and there. What happened? And suddenly they saw the Lord in front of their house on the shoulders of these two men. And these people, these two thieves, when they came there, suddenly they were brought to external consciousness. They realized where they are. They suddenly saw the family members rushing towards them. Because the family members even then did not realize that these are thieves. The family members thought that our child had got lost somewhere. These two very nice gentlemen found him and brought him back to us. See, they are so nice. And the thieves were thinking, oh, they found out we are thieves and we kidnapped and they are coming to catch us. So very hastily they placed the Lord down and they ran away. As the family members are chasing, wait, we want to thank you, but they couldn't hear. They were running as fast as they. This was a very sweet episode. Of course, these thieves must be somebody very, very fortunate, even though the Shastras do not reveal who they were, to perform such a service for the Lord. It's a matter of great fortune. Wouldn't we love if we could give a ride to Lord Hari himself on our shoulders? And the wonderful thing is the Lord did not punish them. See, this is the wonderful thing about the Lord. Even when Putana came, of course, Putana had a mixed desire. She wanted to kill the Lord, but at the same time, in her previous lifetime, she had a desire to serve the Lord. In the previous lifetime, she was the sister of Bali Maharaj. And she felt that, when she saw the little Vaman, she felt that, I should feed him my milk. She spontaneously felt very affectionate towards him. So in the next life, the Lord satisfied that desire. Satisfied her desire both of feeding poison and of feeding milk. Because later on also she felt that this small Brahman has taken away all the wealth of my brother. So I wish I feed him poison. So the beautiful thing is, anybody who sincerely expresses the feeling towards the Lord satisfies. So in one sense, the thieves stole also Krishna, but at the same time, they also served him by giving a ride because they had that desire to also somehow please him. So why I'm mentioning this is, the Lord is Krishna, his holy name are also desire trees. Whatever desire we approach the Lord reciprocates. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manusya partha samachya. We should be very careful when we approach the Lord what we think. In my own life, so many times I've experienced. I've just thought of something and Krishna very quickly reciprocates. I remember His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj many times, he tells us in class, I remember many years ago in the class, he would tell us that just think about it, you thought about this and Krishna gave you this. Instead of thinking about this kind of a desire, if you had desired for some higher thing, how wonderful it would have been. So Krishna is eager to give. What we need to do is we need to purify our desires. Sometimes we are too worried that, oh, Krishna is not giving me spiritual advancement, but actually that is not the fact. Do you know what the fact is? The fact is that we don't actually want it. Intellectually, we may say, oh, Krishna, I want you, but our heart is not saying that. That is our problem. Our intelligence is programmed to say it, so we say it, but in our heart, we are still hankering. Our laulya is not for Krishna. Our laulya is still for mundane. That's why Krishna is not reciprocal. Prabhupada and all the acharyas say Krishna will, if you take one step towards Krishna, Krishna will take 100. That means the problem is in us, not really in Krishna. Krishna is very reciprocal. Krishna's kindness, Krishna's compassion is unimaginable. Unimaginable, unfathomable. Kamba dayalu sharanam varashina. We cannot find a more merciful person. The only more merciful person than Krishna, of course, we can say about Radharani. But the most merciful is Krishna himself in the mood of Radharani, who is Lord Chaitanya. His Lila is what we are talking about. So like this, a beautiful pastime happened. Then another very interesting pastime happened. There were two Brahmanas who were brothers. Their name is Hiranya and Jagdish Muzumdar, I think, if I'm not wrong. They were Pandits, they were Brahmanas. They were also in Navadvip. One day, when the Lord was very young, they had cooked a very great feast on an Ekadashi day. So, of course, on Ekadashi day, we eat non-grains, but when we cook for Lord Hari, Krishna doesn't have to eat grains, doesn't have to fast from grains. We can offer grains to Krishna, is only that we don't eat. So, that made a very nice feast. Of course, the Lord is in the heart of all living entities. Lord Chaitanya understood that with great devotion, Hiranya and Jagdish had cooked a grand feast. Suddenly, the Lord pretended to be sick and he started crying. And everybody was trying to pacify him. And his father asked him, "Oh, Nimai, what is it? Why you are crying?" He said, "No, I'm feeling sick. I'm feeling sick. I'm not feeling well." I don't know what exactly he complained, but I think something like stomach upset or my stomach is paining or something like that. "Oh, so what can we do for you so that you will feel good?" He said, "Yeah, there is one thing you can do. In the house of Hiranya and Jagdish, there's a very special feast being offered to Lord Vishnu on Ekadashi day today. So I want to go and eat that feast." Krishna was so shocked. First of all, how did this boy even know? Second thing is, why would they give him his feast? Who is he? He's just a small boy. So anyway, nonetheless, they went there and they tried to find out, and they asked Hiranya and Jagdish, and they were shocked. Said, "How did this boy know? We have not informed anybody. Just in private, we were cooking this feast for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu." So they understood that this person must be a very extraordinary person. So they offered the feast that they had cooked for Lord Vishnu to Lord Vishwambhar, who is none other than Lord Vishnu. The Lord was very pleased and he said immediately, "Now I am feeling fine." So this is again how the Lord reciprocated with this loving affection of Jagdish and Hiranya. They cooked something. The Lord became eager to eat. When we have very pure affection for the Lord becomes hungry for our offering. Actually hungry for our love, but he expresses it in terms of demanding our service. Give, I want. Like the gopis, right? Why Krishna would go there to steal butter? He was actually trying to steal their heart. He was attracted by their love. He was not interested in the butter per se. Krishna enjoys. That is special. Krishna is Bhakta Vatsal. He is very, very affectionate. Anyway, so little Nimai, as I mentioned earlier, would love to play wonderful sports. And along with sports, also he loved to do mischief. He had his own band of friends, and they would go around in the neighborhood, snoop into people's homes, steal vegetables, eat them. As children, they would be naughty. Sometimes they would be fighting with each other. So as the Lord would do all these kind of naughty activities, like what Krishna would do in Gokul, the various children would sometimes lodge complaints with Sachimata. That this is what he's doing, he's stealing, he's doing this. And then sometimes Sachimata would chastise little Nimai, saying, "You are being very naughty, so many complaints are coming. Why you are stealing from other people's home? I am making such nice food for you. Why do you beat the other children? Why you are going into other people's homes? Don't you have your own home?" Correct? So when he was rebuked like that, sometimes when he was excessively scolded, Lord Chaitanya and little Nimai would become excessively angry. And sometimes when he would be excessively angry, he would go into a room where there would be a lot of pots, and then taking either a stick or something, he would break all those pots to show his anger. So when he would express his anger like that, Mother Sachi, feeling affection for him, she would try to pacify him. She would cuddle him, take him on the lap, make him understand. And when the Lord would be cuddled and affectionately caressed like that, the Lord will suddenly feel very embarrassed for what he has done. He would admit his fault and he would tell his mother, no, no, sorry, oh, Maya, I will not do like this again. Like that, very sweet interactions they would have. One day also, in a similar episode where he was having an argument with his mother, he was so angry and upset that with his little soft palms, he was chastising his mother. I think he probably just gently hit her with the hand. Like small babies, sometimes with the mother, they're quarreling and they throw their arms like that. So when he did like that, Mother Sachi pretended as if she was hurt and she fell down as if she has fainted because of being hurt. And when little Nimai saw that, he was shocked. He was, crying and he was panicking. Oh, mother, what happened? Wake up, wake up, wake up. So the neighborhood ladies came running around and they saw the situation and they knew that Mother Sachi is playing games. They told him, no, your mother has fainted. She's, you have caused harm to her. You must now help her. He would say, yes, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? Yes, you should bring 2 coconuts from somewhere. If you bring 2 coconuts, your mother will be okay. And they were thinking from where the small boy will get coconuts. So they were playing games with him. Small people, where is he going to get 2 coconuts? So he ran outside the home. Within moments, little Nimai came back running with 2 coconuts. Everybody's wondering, from where he got the 2 coconuts? Huh? And of course, Mother Sachi, woke up and, everybody was happy. So like that, they would play pranks and the ladies would also be astonished seeing the wonderful activities because they would never be able to explain how the Lord was performing these wonderful activities. Another interesting thing, the Lord not only wanted to play games in the town, but he would love to play a lot of games on the bank of the Ganga and within the Ganga itself. So Lord Chaitanya, little Nimai with his friends would spend so much time in the Ganges. They would go for a bath, but they would spend hours and hours and Mother Sachi would come again and again calling them back. And they would play and sport. The interesting thing is they would not just play, they would do a lot of naughtiness in the Ganges. Very much like what Krishna would do in the Jamuna. So there's one interesting thing that Lord Chaitanya would do, which is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is said many young girls, very small young girls of that area would also come to bathe in the Ganges. And after taking their bath in the Ganges, they would perform their various pujas, usually to many of the devatas. And they would bring along with them puja thalis, flowers, some sweets, some lamp and kumkum, agarbatti, puja thalis to worship. Sometimes various devatas, either to worship Ganga or to worship Durga Devi, Lord Shiva, Ganesh and various devatas. So when they would be bathing, after their bathing, they would come and they were about to perform the pujas. This little boy Nimai would come in front of them and he would sit amongst them. And he would say, oh, why are you girls worshipping the devatas? Instead of worshipping the devatas, why don't you just worship me? You give all your offerings to me. All these sweets that you have prepared, these flowers, you just worship me. Aren't you worshipping Durga and Shiva so that you get good husbands? And you want such benedictions? I will give you those benedictions. Don't you know? Ganga and Durga are my servants only. What to speak of the other devatas? Even Lord Shiva is worshipping me. He is also my servant. The girls will be shocked. Oh, what are you speaking, Nimai? You are insulting the devatas. You are calling them your servants. What is this? Of course, externally they would be chastising, but their hearts would be so attracted to the beautiful form of Nimai. Sometimes the Lord would just, even without asking them, from their puja tray, he would take some chandan that they had prepared and apply it on himself. And his own, but he would take the garland from their puja thali, put it on himself. And he would take some of the mithai and eat it. So if they would not worship him, he would take their ingredients and use it for himself. Whether it's the rice, bananas, sweet meats, and they started chastising him. Oh, Nimai, why you are doing like this? You are like our brother, according to our village relationship. So you should not do like this. Why are you offending the devatas? Don't create a disturbance like this. The little Lord would say, oh, my dear sisters, don't worry. They are all my servants. I am telling you this today. If you worship me, I will give you the benediction. That whatever your heart is desiring, I will satisfy. I will give you benediction that you will get very nice husbands. Husbands who are clever, very learned, very young, very wealthy, having lot of wealth and rice in their homes. And you will have a very happy married life with 7 sons each who will have long lives and will be very, very intelligent. When the girls heard this kind of blessing, they would be very happy. Ah, yes. Somehow through the mystic power of the Lord, they would have faith that whatever this boy is saying will happen. So then they would agree, okay, you take the offerings, you give us this blessing. Of course, sometimes they would rebuke him. Some girls, rather than conceding to the Lord's request, would just walk away, not agreeing to serve him with the items they had gathered. So the Lord would call out to them, oh, you miserly girls. Miserly means kanjus. You're not giving your offerings to me. If you don't give, he would warn them. If you don't give, I'm warning you upfront. If you don't give your offerings to me, then you know what will happen? Instead of getting young, handsome, rich husbands, you will get old husbands. Not just old, but they already will be having 4 co-wives. Olden times, even in India, amongst the Hindus also, they would, sometimes they would have, a man would have many wives. And he'll be old and crippled and you will have, many co-wives. So when the girls would hear this, they would immediately turn back. No. We don't want to suffer like this. You take our offerings. Because they would be worried that his curse may become effective. So in this way, the Lord would play with them. Of course, the girls in their own heart were always very pleased, just like Krishna would perform many pastimes with the gopis, and they would also be pleased, even though externally they would complain. They would be very, very happy, and they would be actually very satisfied with this very, very sweet interactions. So we should understand all this complaining and all other things are actually very sweet interactions. The complaining makes the interaction sweeter. One day, in a similar manner, like so many girls would come, there was one extraordinarily qualified girl by the name of Lakshmi. She was the daughter of Vallabhacharya, very great Vaishnava, Brahman and Acharya. She came to the Ganges. Now, who's Lakshmi? Lakshmi is an incarnation of Lakshmi Devi herself. She's the Lord's eternal consort. She came there with the puja tray to the Ganges. She came, the Lord came, and please understand, both of them were small boys at this time, small boy, small girl, very young. I don't know how old they were, but they were very young. So as soon as Lakshmi Devi came there, the Lord saw Lakshmi Devi saw the Lord. Eternally, they are related as husband and wife. Even though they were child, naturally their affection and attraction for each other awakened. They were both so happy and pleased to see each other, even though it was childhood-like emotions. And Vishwambar, like he would address the other ladies, he told her that, oh, Lakshmi, you should worship me. I am the Supreme Lord. If you worship me, all the benedictions that you seek, you will achieve. So when Lakshmi Devi heard this, she did not protest, she did not complain. She immediately took her offerings and immediately started worshipping the Lord according to the Lord's instructions. She garlanded him with mallika flowers. She started offering prayers. She put nice sandalwood pulp. The Lord being worshipped like this, Lakshmi Devi became extremely satisfied and happy. And the Lord recited at that time a very beautiful verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And in that way, the Lord accepted the emotion that Lakshmi Devi was expressing. Because what was her emotion? Her emotion was that she wanted the Lord as a husband. The Lord says a particular verse from the Bhagavatam, and the translation of that verse is, "Oh my dear gopis, I accept your desire to have me as your husband, and thus the worship that you have undertaken for me." This is the Katyayana Vrata that the gopis have undertaken. I wish your desire to be fulfilled because it deserves to be so. So in that way, this little Vishwambar blessed little Lakshmi that your desire to become my consort will be satisfied. And after expressing their heart to each other, they all both went their ways. Now, later in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, we will discuss that. Actually, Lakshmi Devi's proposal came to Sachi Mata, and Lakshmi Devi and Vishwambar got married. So Lakshmi Devi is the first wife of Lord Chaitanya, and later, according to the pastimes we'll discuss later, she in her pastimes departed early, and then later the Lord married Vishnu Priya Devi. Those pastimes we'll discuss at a later time. So this was another beautiful pastime which happened on the bank of the Ganges. Of course, there are many pastimes that are not mentioned here. We don't have time, otherwise we will not complete the chapter for another few classes if I discuss all the beautiful pastimes. But there are many beautiful pastimes which would happen on the bank of the Ganga. Another beautiful pastime happened is that, of course, as the Lord would do all these things, the neighboring people also, even when they saw that the Lord was naughty, as I mentioned, ultimately in their heart, they would be very satisfied. Of course, sometimes they would come and complain to Sachi Mata, but net, everybody was very happy. So one day it so happened that Lord Vishwambar, the maintainer of the entire universe, he sat, there was a pit near the home of Jagannath. There was a pit where all the used pots were kept. So in the olden times, clay pots were used for cooking, and the pots were used for cooking, and after cooking, in the pots itself, the naivedya would be offered to the Lord, and then the prasadam would be served out, and after that, those pots would be kept in this pit. So when he was sitting on those pots, Mother Sachi chastised this little Nimai and said, "Oh, why are you sitting in a dirty place? Why are you touching these contaminated, untouchable pots? You have now become impure. You should now go and bathe in the Ganges." So when he was chastised like that, the Lord countered Mother Sachi by saying, "Oh, Mother Sachi, why are you saying these pots are dirty? How can they be dirty? Just because they were used for cooking? But they were used for cooking and offering for Lord Vishnu. And anything which is used for Lord Vishnu or for service of Lord Vishnu becomes transcendental. It becomes Tadiya Vastu. Don't you know this spiritual philosophy? So this is not contaminated. Rather, I'm purified by being in connection with these pots." And Mother Sachi was very surprised and amazed to hear this. But nonetheless, she forced him to take bath. Perhaps because, many of these pots are blackened by soot from outside. Maybe he had externally soiled his body and clothes with the black soot. Sometimes Mother Sachi, when she would be lying down on her bed with this little Nimai next to her, she would suddenly see that the sky would be filled with denizens of the higher planets. She would be shocked. Once when she was seeing a vision like this, she was so shocked and she was so surprised. She told little Nimai, "Go run and call your father." So as little Nimai was running out to call his father, there was a tinkling sound coming from his legs as he was running. Ching, 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 ching. Hearing the tinkling sound, both the father and the mother were struck with wonder. You know why they were struck with wonder? Because actually the Lord was not wearing any ankle bells. Even though the Lord was not wearing ankle bells, when he was walking, tinkling of ankle bell sounds would come. So Jagannath Mishra said, this is very wonderful. How come there is tinkling sound coming from my son's walking when he's not wearing any ankle bells? And Mother Sachunta Jagannath Mishra, yeah, I'm also seeing this kind of wonderful things. I was lying down with Nimai and I'm seeing Devatas. I'm sometimes hearing a lot of prayers. So this was very common. Whenever the Lord appears, whether in Krishna Lila or in Gaur Lila and other Leelas, the Devatas regularly come and the Lord descends to take darshan and blessings from Lord Hari. But anyway, because they were so affectionate toward the Lord, because they were always thinking of themselves as parents, even though they would express wonder at all these activities, ultimately their heart would be so overcome with affection for the Lord, even though they may sometimes feel maybe he's some great person, maybe there's something special, but ultimately they say, no, he's just my boy. And then they would continue to chastise him and rebuke him. One day, one night, because Jagannath Mishra would also sometimes, in spite of all these wonderful happenings, out of his extreme loving affection for the Lord, he would chastise the Lord. One day, Lord Jagannath Mishra chastised little Nimai for some episode, but he chastised him very strongly. That particular night, in the dream of Jagannath Mishra, one Brahmana appeared. That Brahmana came to to Jagannath Mishra and started having a conversation with him. And he said, oh, my dear Mishra, you don't know anything about your son. Do you think you know your son? You rebuke him and chastise him like this? So Brahmana was chastising Jagannath Mishra for chastising his son. Trying to tell him, you don't know who he is. Jagannath Mishra was defending what he was doing. He told this Brahmana, oh, this boy may be a Devata, he may be a great mystic yogi, he may be a great saintly person. It doesn't matter because I think he is my son. It is my duty as a father to educate him in religion and morality. If I don't teach him, who will teach him? I am the father. How will he know about it? The Brahmana was not satisfied. He was thinking, oh, what is this? Don't think of your son as an ordinary boy. He is a transcendental, mystical personality. He has perfect knowledge. He's a self-effulgent personality. What is the use of your education? He already knows everything. What are you trying to teach him? And Jagannath Mishra, again being overwhelmed with loving sentiments, just like Nanda, as for Krishna, being overwhelmed with affection, that even if my son is Narayan, still it is my duty as a father to instruct my son, and I will do it. So that he became so insistent, seeing that pure loving affection that Jagannath Mishra had for this little boy. This Brahmana, eventually, after all this debate, was finally satisfied, and he just smiled and he went back. So Jagannath Mishra, when he woke up, he was also very surprised with this very, very amazing dream. And he related this particular amazing dream to his relatives and friends. And all of them were also very, very amazed to hear. So these kind of thoughts would often come to the minds of the parents as well as the residents of Navadvip, that this boy Nimai is not actually an ordinary person. After some days passed, as the Lord's Leela manifested and he started growing in his age, there comes a particular age where the parents initiate the formal primary education of the child. So in Bengal in those days, there used to be a special ceremony. Sometimes in Sanskrit, it is also known as the Vidyarambha Samskar, the samskar of the beginning of the formal education of the child. Many of us would have gone through it. Many of our children have also gone through it. So when the right time came, Jagannath Mishra wanted to perform this ceremony. In Bengal in those days, the ceremony was known as Hate Khadi. Hate khadi means khada. Khadi means the chalk. Haath mein khada. Have the chalk in the hand. So in this ceremony, what would happen is the father or the teacher would keep the child on the lap, would keep a slate, put a chalk in the hand of the child, and the father would hold the hand of the child with the chalk and start writing alphabets on the slate. In that way, the father would initiate the formal education. So that ceremony was performed with great affection by Jagannath Mishra. And in that way, the Lord began his formal education. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, within a very few days, the Lord became learned in all alphabets and all combination of letters. Just like Krishna, Lord Chaitanya was extremely fast at learning. Of course, the Lord is already all-knowing, there's nothing to learn. But at an external level, in terms of manifesting the pastime of learning, the Lord would display his learning pastimes in a very, very rapid. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, having narrated these highlights from the childhood pastimes of the Lord, he says that I have already described a synopsis of the childhood pastimes in a chronological order. I'm not giving details, he says, because Vrindavan Das Thakur has already described them in Chaitanya Pravaha. So I've given a brief summary. I don't want to be repetitive, and that is why I have not elaborated. And in this way, he concludes this chapter by saying, praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita following in their footsteps. Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki Jai, Lord Chaitanya ki Jai. Thank you for patiently listening. So I'm opening up the floor if any one of you have any comments, questions.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, sorry. Hare Krishna.
Devotees, when they render devotional services to Lord Krishna, that service should be favorable to Lord, right?
Correct.
So what are the unfavorable? Like, as a human being, we must be doing some mistakes, right? So that what are the unfavorable services?
Unfavorable service is not actually service, but where the desire rather than pleasing the Lord is to harm the Lord in some way. We don't call it seva. The scripture says it is not called bhakti. But favorable service means when we do something which will please the Lord. Of course, there can be many examples of unfavorable service or unfavorable activities. I'll give a few examples. One example is that of Kamsa. Generally, we say remembering Krishna is a devotional service, isn't it? Smaran.
Yes.
The devotees remember Krishna out of love and affection, but Kamsa was remembering out of fear and envy. Shishupal out of envy, Kamsa out of fear. So is this kind of remembrance of the Lord out of fear or envy or anger, is it bhakti?
No.
It is not. It is remembrance, but it is unfavorable. Why it is unfavorable? Because it is not aimed at pleasing the Lord. Correct? You understand?
Yes.
Yeah. Another unfavorable. So these are examples of some examples of unfavorable. Another example of unfavorable can be the Lord wants you to do X, but you are insisting to the Lord, I will do Y. For example, I say, give me mango juice. But somebody says, no, I want to serve you by giving you milk only or lassi only. I say, no, I want mango juice. And I just don't like lassi. Somebody's forcing me to take. They want to serve me, but they want to serve me in their own way, not thinking of whether I like the service or not, but they want to push. So that's also not ideally a favorable service. Of course, Krishna in such services may also sometimes accept, just because the desire is there to give. But still, that kind of service is not ideal. The ideal service is anukulyena krishnanu shilanam. Anukul. Anukul means favorable. Favorable means what? Favorable means in a way that the recipient of your service would like it to be. Correct? If somebody calls you for lunch at their house and serves you all the things that you don't like to eat, then that will not be very pleasing to you. Even though at one level you may think, TK, at least he called me at home, but it's not going to be very pleasing. So the best thing is to favorably serve the Lord in a way that the Lord would like you to serve. And sometimes you may think, I don't know how the Lord would like me to serve. And that's why we need Guru. Because the Guru will tell us how we should serve the Lord. But the worst cases where some people want to serve the Lord in an inappropriate way, or worst, want to hurt the Lord in some way. Okay, does this answer your question?
Yeah. So whatever we do out of love for him, he will accept, right?
Very important. First of all, we must have a desire to please him. Second, we must have a knowledge of what it is that we will do that will please him. Both is important. That's why we need good desire and we need guidance, both. Yes, correct. Otherwise, we will end up doing something which is not pleasing to the Lord. Correct. Somebody wants to please the Lord. They go and, they are drunkards. They put a bottle of whiskey in front of the Lord and say, Lord, I like this very much. This is for you today. And they put tulsi leaf on the whiskey bottle and offer ding, 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 ding. That is not knowledge. There may be some positive sentiment there, but that is offering is not really palatable to the Lord. Correct. That's why both are important. Positive desire, positive intention, and knowing what will please the Lord. That is why Guru and association of devotees is very important to understand. Sometimes in very difficult, challenging situations, it becomes very difficult to understand. In this situation, what is it that will please the Lord? It's not so easy. It's not so easy in real life. That's why it is a dharmasya tattvam hito guhaya. To understand very deeply in a very complex situation, what is the best thing to do is not so easy. Simply by studying scriptures, one will not understand. Only when one has a very intense, strong desire to please the Lord, such things will be understood perfectly. For our level, yes, we should want to do favorable devotional service guided by devotees.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very good.
Very good.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. So if there's nothing else, thank you very much. Also would like to congratulate Suraj Prabhu, Shalini Mataji and family for their wonderful Gita Jayanti festivity. They have shared some nice pictures. Haribo, we are very happy. We are very proud of your very wonderful achievement of distributing 150 plus Bhagavad Gitas to the guests and also enabling over many hundreds of sincere souls to come in contact with the Lord's holy name and his message. So it's a very wonderful service. May Krishna bless you all with his choicest blessings for rendering this very wonderful service. Thank you very much. Okay, so thank you all very much. Again, as far as Saturday is concerned, I will keep you informed whether I can manage the Saturday class. I'm a little bit unsure again for the Saturday, but I'll keep you informed. Thank you very much. Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveda Gaura Bhakti ki.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Anand Sundari Mataji,
Hare Krishna,
Sapna ji,
Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Archana ji, thank you. Hamsini, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare, thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna,
This Sundar
Prabhu.
Bro, thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Yashidevi Mataji, Sachiprem Mataji, Indulekha Mataji, Snehaji. Thank you all. Shraddhaji, thank you, Sapnaji. Hari Hari. I'll see you all soon. Sham, Sham is in the next room. Listening to